Hey guys, Brandon Beatty, Trance here. Welcome to the recording studio. Today I wanted to focus on kick and sub bass relationships, getting them right in your track quickly. So we're going to start from a completely blank slate here, and I'm going to show you guys how I get my kick and sub bass mixed in perfectly every time. Okay, this technique, this blueprint I'm going to give you, I'd use this on all of my tracks. Every track I use this on has gotten signed, so I highly recommend doing it this way. And I think the first thing I want to talk about is guessing. You know, a lot of us are guessing because we don't have big subwoofers. You know, even though I have a decent playback system, I still don't have subwoofers, and so you're never going to be able to judge the bass like like a professional mastering engineer who has $100,000 playback room, right? And probably even more than that. So the first thing I'm going to say is that it really starts with your samples. Okay, so you're going to need some good sample packs because I actually do have some really bad samples. So here's like all my samples. I could show you like a bad example of some bad kick drums. I might have even just gotten rid of them. Yeah, here, 117 kick trance kicks. Personally, I think these are not good kicks. I don't know if you can hear that, but they're just not professional enough. So here I'm going to go into the Meta and Glide Trance pack. This is their volume 2. I like this one a lot. This one's nice. So we're going to go to Trance Kicks, wherever that's at. I'm just going to minimize this. Okay, Trance Kicks. And basically any kick in this pack is going to be relatively good. Okay, right there. I like that one. It's a hard hitting kick drum. So we drop it into our sampler here. And, let's get our basic kick pattern going here. Okay, so completely doing this from scratch. There's no... Now, I make my kick drums an eighth note long, okay? So that way they're playing during the the first beat, but as soon as the off beat, the second eighth note space, that's going to be filled up by the by the sub. All right, the subwoofer is going to fill in this space, the kick drum is going to play here. So once we draw in our basic kick pattern, again, make sure you have the right BPM. And we've got our kick in there. Okay, guys. From here, we're going to put the kick through a VU meter, okay? Great VU meter is just called VUMT, VU meter. I like this one because it gives you a numerical display. And then I also like using some type of gain plugin, so we will go to our utilities. So where's that at? There's so many plugins to go through. Oh, where's our utilities? There we go. There it is, utility. Okay. So we're going to use a utility to bring the gain down. So as you can see, we're playing the kick drum. It's coming in 7 decibels over 0. So we're going to bring down the gain on the utility about 7 decibels. And look at that. We're very close to 0. So I'm not going to freak out about the 0.1. Okay. So it's close enough. Okay. So once we have 0 on the VU meter for the kick, that's when we can actually pull up a spectrum analyzer on our master track here. So I like to use Span. This one's free. Okay. and we want the spectrum analyzer to be the first thing because we want to hear the kick drum and everything, or we want to see what it looks like, you know, bare without any effects on it. And we'll increase the input gain here so you guys can hear. Okay, do about 6 decibels. Okay, so this is 0 on the VU meter with the kick. And so this is sort of our line. So 48. So when we're building the rest of the mix, nothing is really going to go past that 48 line unless it's like a vocal or like a lead. It might pop out occasionally, you know, but for the most part, when we're building our flat mix, right, we want to make a flat mix. Nothing wants to go above this 48 line, or this line right here. Okay. So when we put the sub bass in, so I don't want to talk about designing a sub bass sound because that's a whole other, you know, can of worms here, right? But let's pull in our sub bass sound. Now I definitely have a sort of go-to sub bass chain that I use. But you know what, for this one, let's actually go into the sample library. We're going to pull out the Meta and Glide pack again because they have some great sub bass loops. Okay. So yeah, I mean, sometimes you can just use a loop. It's really no shame in doing that because what's nice about this is, you know, it's already good. Like this is already a good sub bass sound. Okay. So again, I don't know if you're quite going to hear that. There's what it looks like on the spectrum. Right now, it's way too loud. It's way too loud. So again, that's where we're going to do the VU meter trick again. We're going to go to our plugins, pull up the VU MT. Go here. Here's our VSTs. Okay, VU MT. So this is the sub bass now. And let's go ahead and loop this. That's not how we loop it. There we go. We got to warp it first, then loop it. Okay. Beautiful. Now here's the sub bass loop, and you can see that's 14 decibels. So I'm probably, if you're on the speakers right now, I'm probably blowing your speakers out. So, okay, let's pull this down. Let's pull out our utility plugin again. I thought I had utility in my favorites, so we'll have to fix that. So again, it is plugins. I'm sorry, audio effects utility. This is supposed to be on my favorites. Okay, so we're gonna pull this down about, what do we say? It was like 14 decibels too big, so we're gonna pull this down about 14 decibels. Put this before the VU MT. Look at that. Now we're about 0. Still another half decibel too loud. So right there, we're about 40. So 14. So we brought down the sub bass about 14. Okay. And again, we want to bring that up on the spectrum analyzer and see what's going on. Okay. So if you remember, our kick was at -48. Okay, and just like I said, we don't want anything to go above the kick. The kick is always the loudest element in a trance mix. And as you can see, the sub is definitely going over that line. And if we try to play both of them together, okay, they're kind of fighting right now. Okay, it's a bit much. For us to clear that up, I recommend bringing the sub about 6 decibels lower than the kick. So this is where we now go to our mixing fader. As you can see, here, I'll pull up the fader section. We're going to go to the sub bass here. I'll label these so you can see them. Sub bass. Here's our kick. So we're going to go to the sub bass fader on the mixing panel, and we're going to turn this down about 6 decibels. Okay. Now, when we solo the sub, you can see now that sub is lower than where the kick was. Okay. Now that's a good starting point, and now you know this for without a doubt. The sub is close. It has the same energy as the kick. It's relatively close. We actually want the sub to be a little quieter, I guess is the word. Just a little bit less in volume than the kick. You know, the kick should be the loudest. The sub can kind of come in just under it. Like I said, about 6 decibels or so. That should be enough. And then the final trick is we can actually put a VU meter on the end of the processing chain, like on our stereo channel, okay? And this is a great way to see how we're doing with the mix. So you can see this is both. This is the kick and the sub playing together, and neither one, the whole mix is not going past 0. Okay? And as we bring in some other elements, so I'll just drop in some stuff from a template here. Okay. So we'll bring up like a full template. We'll put like a rolling bass in there and some percussion just so you can hear how everything sort of sounds in the mix. Drop our percussion section. Oops. Okay, so we'll bring these over here. Make sure we have a filter. And we will bring in the mid basses. Again, just to hear how it sounds in context so that you know we're doing something right over here. Now I know this track is in G flat, and I think this bass I grabbed is in C. So let's bring these up to C. And we'll just do one mid bass. Again, let's turn the filter off here. Okay. And again, you see our VU meter on the main bus is still not going past 0, right? Even though we added all these elements in. All right, so that's it. If you guys had any specific questions or you're having trouble sort of getting this down, anything I didn't explain well, just drop it in the comments. Again, like, subscribe for more, guys. We're going to be putting out trance tutorials basically daily, as often as I can. I want to help you guys get signed. If you're looking to do one-on-one production lessons, please feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to do online Zoom lessons and work on your project with you and help you guys get signed. So, all right, guys. Hey, I'll see you on the next video, okay?